Hi, I'm Curtis Knight, and here are some things that I think you might want to know about cutting your cake on your wedding day. If I am your DJ MC on your wedding day, I'm going to wait until 20 minutes into dinner, because that's when we usually cut the cake. I will keep an eye on you and see if you're done with your first course, which is usually soup, salad, or sorbet. I'll go to the coordinator, ask for permission. Is it okay with you if we cut the cake now? After I've got permission from the coordinator, then I'm going to go to the cake and I'm going to move it to the center of the dance floor. Then I'm going to make sure that I rotate it for best viewing. Sometimes you have a monogram on top of it. I want to see that that can be viewed from all angles and get the best photographs during the cutting of your cake. Once I've rotated the cake to make it be perfectly aligned, then I'm going to make sure there are 2 plates, 2 forks, cutting knife, and serving knife. If any of that is missing, I'll go find it. Then I'm going to find out where the best possible photographing angle is. I'll confer with the photographer and the videographer, make sure they know where to stand so they're getting a 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock shot of you and they're not in either's focus. So then, once I've positioned the plates and everything's ready, then I'm going to come to you and say, are you comfortably ready to cut your cake, or shall I come back in 5 minutes? You look at each other, husband and wife, and you say, yeah, we're ready. And I say, all right, here's how it's going to go. We're going to walk over to the cake. I'm going to announce that it's time to cut the cake. And we do 3 things. We cut a piece and put it on the plate. Then we feed our spouse. And then we kiss. And it's ladies before gentlemen. So, cut, cut, feed, kiss, kiss. Don't memorize, because I'll tell you when we get there. So I say, all right, come on, come with me, and we'll go over to the cake. So we go over to your cake. The music that we chose in our meeting begins to play, and I announce, Mr. and Mrs. Smith are about to do their first job as husband and wife. They're about to cut their cake, and if you brought your camera today, or your snazzy smartphone, come on up and join us. We want you up close so you get really good photos. Because where are we all going after this wedding today? We're all going to Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram. So bring your camera. Don't be shy. Come on up, everybody. And I get a tiny bit aggressive, and a lot of people come up with their cameras. 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 of them. And they make a big circle all the way around. And then I announce, please try not to get in the way of our professionals. So now everybody's taking photos, and I say, ladies before gentlemen, Mrs. Smith, if you could do the honors and go first, pick up the knife and cut the first piece of cake. And I will have explained to you when we get there, you're going to take the long skinny knife and you're going to make 3 cuts to make your piece of cake ready to take away from the main cake. You're going to cut the left side, then the right side, then the back of your piece of cake. Left, right, back. Then you're going to take the serving knife, slide it underneath, pick up your piece of cake, and put it on your plate. And then I'll say, nicely done, Mrs. Smith. Could you now hand the weapons to your husband? So then he will take the long skinny knife and cut the left side, cut the right side, cut the back. Then take the serving knife, shove it underneath, pick it up, and drop it on his plate. And then it's time for the bride to feed the groom. And I'll say, Mrs. Smith, if I could ask you to feed your husband Hollywood style in slow-mo, so that all the photographers here can get a shot of you feeding your husband. Here we go. So then you can use your fingers like we used to do up until 20 years ago, or you can use the fork that I left there for you. Doesn't matter. Either way, you pick. And now you're going to feed your husband. And then I'll say, nicely done. Now it's time for the groom to feed the bride. And if you want to do something a little funny, you can tell your groom, or if this is a groom watching, when I say, and now, John, it's time for you to cut your little tiny piece of cake about the size of a nickel. Take the knife and cut a piece of cake about 6 inches by 6 inches by 5 inches. A big, huge piece of cake. Pick it up with both hands and drop it down on your plate. And that will get everybody talking and a lot of photos. And then when I say it's time for the groom to feed the bride, pick up that piece of cake and hold it up like you are the Statue of Liberty and show all the photographers, yes, I am about to smush this in my wife's face and I'm going to be a dead man. And just hold it up there and let everybody take 1,000 photos. Then take that huge piece of cake and place it back down on the plate, and take the fork that I left there for you and take a little teeny tiny piece of frosting about the size of a crouton and hold it about 4 inches from her mouth, and then don't move. She's going to lean forward and pull off that whatever's on the fork with her teeth, because she doesn't want to get cake or frosting on her lip gloss. So if you want to be a made guy, this is the way to get a lot of laughs from your friends and family, something they don't expect, but it ends up wonderful. And when you do the little tiny baby feed, everybody there will say, "Ah." So then it's time for the bride to kiss the groom and the groom to kiss the bride. How about it one more time, everybody? Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So then you two walk away holding hands. You go back and have a seat at your head table or your sweetheart table, and you wait for your main course to be placed in front of you. So the takeaway from this video is, if you have a little back and forth with your DJ, a little planning up front before the wedding day, now it's going to be a very comfortable experience for you with a lot of people involved and a lot of photos.